Hi, I'm Rick White with Alpen Optics, and I want to talk to you today about the new Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars. Now they're lighter than the older Shasta Ridges, new sleek design, fog-proof, waterproof, BAK4 prisms, phase-coated, and the lenses are multi-coated. Inexpensive pair of binoculars with great quality. So if you're looking to save a little money, but still put quality in your backpack, make sure you check out the Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars. You know, here we are midsummer here in Iowa, and I'm just out doing some scouting, glassing deer, kind of taking an inventory of what I've got, and doing it from a distance. I've got one of the new Alpen spotting scopes. It's a 20 by 60, but one of the things I really like about this, it comes with a tripod, and it's got micro adjustments, so it's real easy to zoom in and move around and find those animals. But basically, this is a great tool to help me manage the farm all year round. If you're looking for a great way to do some scouting, do it in the evening from a distance with a nice spotting scope. Let's talk a little bit about Alpen and Bresser optics. Now they have a full line of optics, but what I want to talk to you now about is rangefinders. They have several different varieties of handheld rangefinders and the new bow rangefinder. Now for you bow hunters, you go ahead and sight in at 20 yards and you calibrate it to your 20-yard pin, and when you're at full draw, whatever you're pointing that 20-yard pin on an object, it'll tell you the yardage. So whether you like a handheld or you want to put one on your bow, we have both options for you here at Alpen and Bresser Optics. Let's talk a little bit. You know, good optics are a must for a hunter. The new Alpen Tetons. They're lighter, they're better in low light, excellent glass. You'll be hard pressed to find that glass for under $1,000. Everything that you would want in a pair of optics. I know what I'm looking for, and once I know what I'm looking for and find what it is, that's what I'm interested in buying. The bottom line is they're affordable, they're lighter, and they're great in low light. The new Alpen Tetons. Another deer coming out. You know, good optics are a must for a hunter, particularly binoculars, not only during hunting season, but times like this when it's time to start scouting. But there's one thing you need to do when you get your binoculars that a lot of people don't realize. You need to set them up for yourself. Everybody's eyes are a little bit different. And here's how I do it. It's simple and easy. Just take the binoculars and just kind of grab good focus on an object. And I go and put my hand over the left lens. The diopter ring, which is on the right side, I will go ahead and adjust that until that right eye is in focus. Once it is, I take the hand off the other side, both eyes in focus, and you're ready to go. It's simple and easy, and it's a must that you do this before you go out and use them. Hi, I'm Rick White with Alpen Optics, and I want to talk to you today about the new Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars. Now they're lighter than the older Shasta Ridges, new sleek design, fog-proof, waterproof, BAK4 prisms, phase-coated, and the lenses are multi-coated. Inexpensive pair of binoculars with great quality. So if you're looking to save a little money, but still put quality in your backpack, make sure you check out the Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars. Let's talk a little bit about Alpen and Bresser optics. Now they have a full line of optics, but what I want to talk to you now about is rangefinders. They have several different varieties of handheld rangefinders and the new bow rangefinder. Now for you bow hunters, you go ahead and sight in at 20 yards and you calibrate it to your 20-yard pin, and when you're at full draw, whatever you're pointing that 20-yard pin on an object, it'll tell you the yardage. So whether you like a handheld or you want to put one on your bow, we have both options for you here at Alpen and Bresser Optics. Well, I'm out doing a little bit of late evening scouting, just looking for deer and waiting for them to come out into the field. But I've got a new pair of Alpen Teton binoculars. You know, a lot of times people will ask me, what binoculars are best in low light situations? Well, that's simple. The answer is the Alpen Teton binoculars. And the reason for that is they have the Abbey Koenig prism, which simply means it allows 94% of available light to get through these binoculars, making them an excellent pair of binoculars in low light. So if you're looking for a pair of binoculars that will see detail into a dark timber right now, this time of the evening, make sure you check out the Alpen Teton binoculars. You'll be glad you did. Oh, here's some deer coming out right now. Hi everybody, I'm Rick White with Alpen Optics, and I want to share with you a new product that I'm real excited about. The Alpen Shasta Ridge 4K action camera. Now there's lots of features with this camera, but I'm just going to go over some of the ones that I really like. First of all, it comes in a waterproof case, and when in the case, it's waterproof down to 100 feet. Now it comes out of the case real easy. The other nice thing I really like is this camera by itself outside the case is actually waterproof down to 15 feet. So if I'm setting it up in the rain or drop it in the water, I'm not worried about it. Now some of the features that I really like, the attachments that come with it, one of them I really like is the stake. I'm a big turkey hunter and I like to use these over my turkey decoys, but you just screw the stake in, stick it in the ground, and you know, it does the rest. Lots of other attachments, and most other manufacturers' attachments will fit with this camera as well. So it's really endless when it comes to all the things that you can do with it. Now it comes Bluetooth with a remote, and this remote, you can just put it on your wrist. You can actually run it with the remote. You can start the video or you can take photos, and again, 4K photos with the remote. Now one of the other features I really like is it's Wi-Fi, and you can attach it to your smartphone. And when you've got your smartphone attached to the camera, you can run everything with your phone and you can see exactly what you're filming. I mean, what a great camera with a lot of great features. Doesn't get much better than that. You're looking for a great action camera? Make sure you check out the Alpen Shasta Ridge 4K action camera. You'll be glad you did.
Go. Hey, what's going on?
To hunt and fish, and known Rick a real long time. We've done a lot of hunting and fishing together, and so he came to Ohio here to go out on a fishing trip with me this summer, and invited me to on this call to talk about some hunting. So, but first things I think we want to talk about. We spent the last couple days out on Lake Erie, and man, I got to tell you, them waves today were treacherous. They were. Well, Brian said they were 2 to 4 feet, and we were in a small boat, and well, I felt every bit of those waves. But we had an excellent, uh, fishing trip. We limited out. There was 3 of us. John Dallas is here with us too. He's on the other side of the table here, but all 3 of us limited out today by 1 o'clock, and yesterday we had a good fish too. So I don't know, is that typical for when you go out? Yeah, I mean, typically you got to get out there and you got to find them the day before, which is always nice, and then hit it hard in the morning. And get out there at first light and try to get that early bite and get that limit quick before the afternoon heat gets you. Yesterday my biggest walleye yesterday was 27 inches. Well, Brian beat me today. Got a 29 incher and a couple of beauties, that's for sure. But before we get into our topic for tonight, which is going to be really deer management, food plots, and managing your deer, and really getting your property to its potential. I want to touch a little bit on. Brian was telling me about a turkey hunt he went on this spring, and he took a young gentleman out, and tell us about the hunt. Yeah, so anyhow, last year I put a lot of time and energy into a blind over top of a food plot that I tried to make not only a great place to deer hunt, but also a turkey hunt. And I was really excited to bring one of my old high school buddies along and his boy. And we did a youth turkey hunt, and it just turned out fantastic. The 3 of us were able to get in that blind over top of that food plot and call in a nice gobbler. We hunted all morning and ended up sewing the deal up around 10 o'clock. Took all morning, but it was a great hunt. All right. Well, listen, also, let me just throw this out to everybody that's watching, just so you have an idea where we're at. We were trying to find a place where I could get good cell service, and we are actually somewhere in Ohio, Dover, Ohio, I think it is. Yeah. And we are in a city park. And I couldn't tell you how many baseball games are going on all around us. People are driving by. You might have some people walking behind us, and you're going to probably hear some noise. But it's as live as you're going to get it right here from Dover, Ohio. But and one other thing I do want to say before we get into talking about deer management. Last week on It's as live as you're. I talked about a fish recipe, and I had told people that Pat and Nicole Reed were going to send out a couple packages of their new Totally Wild seasoning to someone that commented on our show. And this week's winner of that is Angela Neal Thiessen. So, Angela, you have won a couple packets of Totally Wild seasoning, and you're absolutely going to love it. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. Angela Neal Thiessen is the winner this week. But, Brian, let's get back to talking about deer management, okay? And you can, now Brian lives in Ohio, and he can kind of speak for things that go on, I think, pretty much throughout the Midwest. Now, some of the other states down south and maybe some north may vary from a time frame, but when we talk about managing deer, at least when I do, I think it starts with food. So, and I know you are big into deer management. So let's talk a little bit about not only food plots, but what makes a good food plot, and how do you determine where to put one? Yeah, so that second question there, where to put one, that's the most important thing when it comes to food plot, I feel, is location, location, location. So number one, you want to not waste your time and put it back off of your property line. You don't want it being seen by anybody but you. So I kind of feel like that's most important when it comes to that food plot. And you want to have it in an area that's going to produce with good soils, and ultimately have deer and game come and visit it. That's most important. They got to feel safe there and want to be there.
How important is the soil?
So that's ultimately success and failure of a plot. You have to have good loamy soils, something that's going to produce for you. You got to have your pH right, and do your test. It's not that complicated. It really isn't, and you can fix that pH level if it's too acidic real quick with some lime. And your local farm extension can help you with that, or you can go down to a local hardware and buy your own soil test kit and check your pH level. I do that. Just a garden test kit that works as well. You can do it yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, the average person out there that maybe has never done this, it is really simple. And go to those places. They'll have a soil packet, and it'll take you step by step on how to do it and where to send it. And then within, I don't know, a period of time, you'll get those results back with a recommendation of what you need to do to improve that soil.
Yes, and you can buy pelletized lime at the hardware store. It doesn't have to come some great big farm producer to bring in some lime. You can get it yourself, pelletized lime for smaller plots. Matter of fact, I will lime some of my own plots up to 3 acres with pelletized lime. I mean, I do that. So if you're putting in a 1/4 acre or up to 3 acres, I mean, it's simple to do yourself with correcting the pHs on that.
So, hey, Brian, so when I know a lot of people that ask me about food plots, and I know a little bit about food plots, but not near what you do. And so a person wanting to put in a food plot, and I will say this too, and I think Brian can attest to this, it really doesn't matter how much property you have to hunt. The smallest of food plots can be hugely beneficial to you. But do you think it's more important to put those food plots in the center of your properties, or and keeping them away from property lines, or really just wherever you can put them? I mean, what's your thoughts there?
So again, I go back to I want that deer to feel safe when he comes to that plot, and I don't want it to be disturbed. So, as much cover and screening around that plot is the best you can do. Get it as far away from the property line as possible, so that them deer feel good, and that you can get in and out of there to hunt and not be disturbed as well.
Yeah. So if you don't have all the equipment like you do, you've got the tractor, you've got everything that it takes to put in a food plot. But say the average guy that has, I'm just throwing this out theoretically, has a 100 acres of timber to hunt, and they want to put in maybe just a 1/4 acre food plot, or maybe even smaller. You don't have to have all that equipment, but it can be done virtually just by inexpensive tools from hardware stores, can it not?
Uh, yeah, with a lot of labor.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of labor, but I mean, the average guy's not going to go out and buy a cedar and a cultipacker and a disc
Understand that.
if they're putting in,
Understand that.
a small food plot. But it can be done.
Sure. You could go in there and fill the soil yourself with rototillers, and a 4-wheeler is the next step beyond a walk behind tiller. You get into the 4-wheelers, and I've done that. I've been doing food plots for over 30 years, and I've done that. So yeah, you can do it with small equipment, but keep in mind you don't want to be wasting your time out there, and get a food plot that's appropriate. You don't waste your time on something that's too small.
Well, and that brings me to my next question. A lot of people ask me, on a determining amount of land that they hunt, how big of a food plot do I need or should I have? And I think that varies depending on how much land you have. But what do you tell the average guy? I mean, do you tell them that, whatever you're able to do, or I mean, what's too much food and what's not enough food? Is there a thought process there?
Well, It depends on how intensely you want to manage. If you're just looking for a hunting plot and an attracting plot, I wouldn't go much below a quarter acre plot. I'm always go big or go home. So I wouldn't mess with anything less than at least a quarter acre.
Okay, well, that makes perfect sense. Now, let's talk a little bit about. So you've got your food plots, and well, let's talk about this. What types of food do you like, and what time of the year is best to maybe plant those particular food plots, and what kind of management of the food plot? Do you have to mow them? Do you have to spray them? Do you have, what are you doing there?
Okay, so the short version answer of that is here in Ohio, in the springtime, I like my clovers to plant in the spring. Okay, so clovers with a good cover crop of wheat or buckwheat or something like that. That's what I like to do in the spring, and when I do that, I try to establish that for a longer time frame, like a 4 or 5 year plot. And so that being said, that thing's going to get mowed a good 2 times a year at least to control the weeds. So you want to mow that thing before the weeds go to seed. So I'll hit it then, and then I'll hit it again, one more time later in the year. And I try not to mow it during a drought, and I want to make sure there's rain in the forecast so that after I mow it, the new lush vegetation that comes up is going to grow well, because that's what the deer like to eat. After it's been mowed and it starts to green up and grow again, they're going to hammer it. And then in the fall, that's where I'm concentrating on my brassicas, your turnips. Again, you could put a winter wheat in the fall. And that's what I like to do in the fall. And I do not mow any of that. I don't do anything like that. Those are annual, meaning that they're only going to come once a year. So after the fall, I might go back in and just mow that thing in the spring. And it's going to be mostly weeds at that point. And then I'll wait again until the end of August, early September, and replant another brassica, turnip, kale, rapeseed type product for the fall.
And where I live in Iowa, of course, Iowa is mainly a food plot in the whole state, but we plant a lot of corn and a lot of soybeans. I mean, those are, and alfalfa. I mean, those are excellent food sources as well. So I mean, there's so many different things that you can plant. But one of the things that I think is important, and I'd like you to talk about this a little bit, Brian, is a variety of food. We as people like to eat a variety of food, and I've always thought that deer like a variety too. Not only from a standpoint of they just like to eat different things, but there are some food plots that are higher in protein, and at certain times of the year, it's like lactating does and things like that. They need more protein or less protein. You find that a variety also helps rather than just putting in one certain food.
Well, for sure. I mean, the more products you have out there that the deer are going to like to eat, I think the more of an attractant that is, and the more nutrition it's going to give them. I can't argue that. Personally, I like to concentrate on a specific product in the spring and a specific product in the fall, and not stray too far away from that. I know it works, and that's what I used. When it comes to your corn, your soybeans, we're going to talk about that in a quick second. Those are cash crops for farmers, and those are very difficult to grow for food plots. They can be done, but you better be prepared to plant 10 acres of corn.
Those are going to eat
if you got deer, if you have a lot of deer. So I would shy away from planting corn, beans, even alfalfa for that matter. Alfalfa is a tough crop to grow as well. It will grow. It's more of like a 3-year type thing. It takes a lot of maintenance, and if you plant alfalfa and it starts to fade away, and you want to reseed it in alfalfa, it will not work. You have to kill the remaining alfalfa in there, because the existing alfalfa that's left over will not allow any other alfalfa to grow. So yeah, corn, beans, and alfalfa. For the novice food plotter, avoid those at all costs. Stick to your clovers in the spring and your brassicas in the fall, and your turnips in the fall, and you'll do just fine.
Okay. Now, an important part of management, along with your food plots, obviously, is the harvesting of deer, and you have an extensive management program on your place, which not everybody is able to do what you do. Now, you typically try not to shoot any deer until they're 6.5 years of age, and in the perfect world, that's a good thing to do. You also try to get your buck to doe ratio a little closer, uh, which is also very hard to do because you're only allowed to shoot so many deer in a year, and but the harvesting of a certain amount of does is important. But what can you tell us about when it comes to hunting from a deer management standpoint?
So,
I mean, how do you get big bucks? What do you
yeah,
do?
yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to.
Yep.
Okay. So we want to produce big bucks and not be overrun by deer in the meantime. So there has to be a certain amount of kill that goes on. I mean, you have to manage your herd and at a limited supply of deer that you're going to be happy with. So the most important thing is hunting pressure and allowing them deer to feel comfortable so that they stay close and they're not putting themselves in jeopardy, and they're going to stay on your property or neighboring properties that don't get hunted that hard. So keep the pressure to a minimum and monitor, your bucks with trail cameras, lots of trail cameras. A trail camera, at least one for every 40 acres. And the deer that are there, find their sheds every spring and try to get those deer that you know for sure that's a 6-year-old buck. Understand how old those deer are and look at the growth and don't have um, uh, unrealistic expectations either. So if there's a 140-inch deer being killed in your county and they're not really producing much bigger than that, well, start there and try to expect to kill a 140-inch deer, and to do that, you're never going to do that if you kill a 130-inch 3-year-old.
That's right. I think Brian also will say, it really is your choice. When you go out hunting, you spending the time and the money and the enjoyment of the hunt. That's really what it's all about, is the enjoyment of the hunt. And if you decide you want to shoot a 3.5-year-old deer or whatever you decide you want to shoot, that's perfectly okay. We're not saying don't do that. But Brian is saying, from a management standpoint and what he's doing on his farm, he chooses to shoot older, mature deer to keep the management program that he's applied to his property. That's what he does. Not everybody does that, and not everybody, I guess, really has to. It's really up to you what you want to shoot. So we're not going to tell you, well, you can't shoot this or don't shoot that. But that you won't shoot a young deer. You just won't do it because your program and what you put together and the investment that you have is and what you're trying to do. The end result, the goal, is to grow big deer, but it's really to have older deer structure.
Absolutely, I want them to get to their ultimate peak full potential, and that might we might realize at 4 years old that a certain deer is really not going to become something we want in his full potentials. So we will target that deer.
And as I said, we're running live here from Dover State Park here in Ohio. And I think, Paul, you're not hearing Paul, but I think Paul gave me a message here just a second ago. What was that, Paul? All right, he's giving me the time.
6:21.
So 6:21. All right, well, 6:21 from Dover, Ohio here. So, Brian, let's talk. He's talked about his extensive, management program, and if anybody has questions about managing their deer and they want to send them to us, I'll make sure Brian gets those questions, and he'll respond, or he'll respond to us, and we'll get back to you. We'll try to give you his thoughts and maybe pick his brain on what he might, what might recommend for you on those things. But you've got a hunt coming up this year. You're going on a mule deer hunt in Montana.
Yeah.
And I know you've been
really excited about that. Yeah.
And I'm a little envious. Personally, I've never shot a mule deer. I've had plenty of invites. I just can't seem to find the time to do it. But where you're going is a really good place, I understand. And
Yeah, it's taken quite a few bonus points, preference points, whatever you want to call it, to draw that tag. And we've been putting in for several years in several states out west, and it's just something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and really looking forward to hunting some of them western states for elk or mule deer, or never know. Someday I might draw that coveted sheep tag. I don't know. I keep trying, and I'm telling you, here as a hunter, and just like everybody else out there that likes to hunt and enjoy the outdoors, my ultimate adventures are those mountain adventures, chasing those big North American game animals. That's my ultimate. I live for that. I dream about it almost every day. For all you guys out there that are young enough, get out there and apply for those tags and apply for those preference points, so that the day that you're ready to go, you'll have enough points and you can go after those animals.
and
Now, you
thing,
guys, you guys, didn't you go fishing today? Didn't you go fishing?
yes, we did go fishing today.
Well,
We talked about that already.
yeah, but
Yeah,
we
I haven't
didn't
had a
show the
shower
picture.
in 2
We
days,
got
and I
we got
smell
this
like walleye.
got this really great picture of this massive fish, right?
Oh yeah, that's a walleye I think that I caught yesterday. I didn't want to send the one a picture of Brian because his is bigger than mine, and I didn't want anyone to know that he caught a bigger one. But that's a 27-inch walleye, and Brian caught a 29-incher today. And once again, we were fishing Lake Erie, and we had a lot of fun today. And
How are you
I
now?
tell you what, I got some motion sickness yesterday. Oh boy,
So
it was not a fun day.
make that. What are you gonna do with that thing? What are you gonna do with those giant fish, huh?
Well, they're gonna
We're gonna
go.
eat
They're
'em.
gonna go in the fry pan. That's where they're gonna go. Now, when I fished Canada all these years, and a fish like that, quite honestly, I would have probably threw back. But here in Lake Erie, they want you to actually keep those. They have so many big fish in the lake, and so many small ones up and coming there. They actually want you to try to keep those fish. They have a lot of them. So,
But one more, those big walleyes out of Lake Erie taste absolutely phenomenal.
yeah.
They really are good at all size in Lake Erie. Anything that's legal is good to eat.
And the other thing too, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I actually filmed this fishing trip, and I don't know how it turned out yet. I haven't had a chance to look at all the footage, but I actually wanted to film a fishing show. I've never done that, and we're actually gonna post that hunt on Through the Eyes of a Hunter on My Outdoor TV and the Hunt Channel, and so it's something new. So, Paul, how are we doing for time?
Well, I think it's time for our weekly special, Mr. Rick.
All right. Well, he's saying it's time for the weekly special, and here's what it is. Today's special is the Alpen Kodiak 10 by 42 binos. Okay, binoculars. The 10 by 42 Alpen Kodiak series binoculars, model number 829. Regular price $169.99, and this week's special on that through Sunday is 50% off, which will bring it to a special price of $85. So a $170 pair of binoculars for $85 is a great deal. All you have to do is go to bresserusa.com, our Alpen's website, and when you go ahead and order that model 829, in the promo code, just in small letters, just put "on the hunt" with no spacing, and you will receive that 50% off, bringing them down to $85. So, uh, take advantage of all our specials every week. Great specials, and you only get them during that time. So make sure you check it out. And Brian mentioned earlier, he runs trail cameras on about every 40 acres. He's got a trail cam. Don't forget, we have 2 different trail cams, inexpensive, great quality trail cams. You might want to check those out as well. But a great weekly special, the Alpen Kodiak binoculars. And I think that about going to wrap it up for us this week. Brian, we appreciate you coming on the show, and you've given us a lot of good information. And there's a lot of information that we didn't have time to talk about. So, folks, if you have any questions, make sure you let us know. But Brian, hey, appreciate it. We're sitting here side by side in Dover State Park in Ohio. And folks, we appreciate you coming along with us tonight. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Rick White with Alpen Optics, and I want to talk to you today about the new Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars. Now, they're lighter than the older Shasta Ridges, new sleek design, fog-proof, waterproof, BAK4 prisms, phase-coated, and the lenses are multi-coated. Inexpensive pair of binoculars with great quality. So if you're looking to save a little money, but still put quality in your backpack, make sure you check out the Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars. Well, I'm out doing a little bit of late evening scouting, just looking for deer and waiting for them to come out into the field. But I've got a new pair of Alpen Teton binoculars. You know, a lot of times people will ask me, what binoculars are best in low light situations? Well, that's simple. The answer is the Alpen Teton binoculars. And the reason for that is they have the Abbey Koenig prism, which simply means it allows 94% of available light to get through these binoculars, making them an excellent pair of binoculars in low light. So if you're looking for a pair of binoculars that will see detail into a dark timber right now, this time of the evening, make sure you check out the Alpen Teton binoculars. You'll be glad you did. Oh, here's some deer coming out right now.